This is News 8 Now, this morning.
The state of Wisconsin has a tendency to pass mandatory services, but they don't always pass the funding along with it. And I think Monroe County residents shouldn't have to pay for that. That's the connection. We need to push that issue that, hey, what you do in Madison does affect Western Wisconsin.
There is money out there for real frontline workers. We are in the front line every day. We are not on an island. We're not in our home. We are in the front line.
It's a good reference point to allow elected officials to see what the current issues are and the current strategies in place for our city to grow.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for watching News 8 Now. I'm Dua Esrar.
And I'm Derek Sibley.
It is January 31st. We just actually, right before coming onto the show, received a report that Wisconsin 312 West is closed at I-94 West because of a disabled vehicle. If we receive more information, we will let you know as soon as possible, but do expect some lane and road closures in that area. But, as it gets colder and icier, this is definitely a reminder for everyone to drive slow. Derek, can we expect, icier roads because it's so cold outside?
Yeah, it's kind of dangerous to go outside right now with these wind chills. So if you're going to be out on the roads, and if you happen to, unfortunately get stuck out there, such as that driver that you just reported on, Dua, you want to make sure that you are bringing things like blankets with you, and make sure that your heater is on in the car. Just do whatever you can to keep yourself as warm as possible for an extended period of time, because you can see wind chills here are in effect until 10 a.m. this morning. That's because we could see anywhere in this area that 20 to 35 below wind chill values can be possible. Current wind chill readings right now, minus 26 is what it currently feels like in La Crosse. It feels like it's minus 16 though in Eau Claire. Let's get checked now on your current temperatures, and you can see that we're looking at 11 below in La Crosse. 15 below currently is the current reading in Winona. Here's what you can expect throughout the rest of the day. Mostly sunny skies. So again, everything remains dry as far as our weather goes, but everything remains very cold as far as our temperatures go. And we will be looking at westerly to southwesterly winds today at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Coming up in a bit, we're going to take more a look at these wind chills plus your full weather forecast coming up a little bit later. Dua?
Thanks, Derek. Let's get to some news this morning. La Crosse's Metro Transit utility workers picketed outside Grand River Station Monday evening asking for higher wages. News 8 Now's Emily Haugen was there, and she explains to us what the workers are asking for.
La Crosse MTU workers marched outside Grand River Station demanding more.
We are here to send a message to City Hall that we deserve a fair wage.
It's an informational picket for higher wages.
There is money out there for real frontline workers. We are in the front line every day. We are not on an island. We're not in our home. We are in the front line.
Local union president Todd Strasser says federal COVID relief funding didn't make it to the MTU's front line. La Crosse Mayor Mitch Reynolds told News 8 Now that the MTU was restructured. That led to pay changes for management.
If you have additional responsibilities, the compensation for those positions has to increase. That's essentially where those pay increases come from.
Reynolds says the city is looking into a 3-year contract for the union.
We'll be conducting those negotiations with the union and not in public at this time.
Who moves that city?
For now, the union marches, asking for a new contract with a 4.5% per year wage increase.
If I can't get your attention at the table, these are the avenues that we go through. The money is there. Do what's right.
Strasser says ultimately the picket is for the people.
If there's not a man in the seat, we don't have service here in the city of La Crosse. We all pulled together.
In La Crosse, Emily Haugen, News 8 Now.
The union says MTU workers received just under a 3% increase, while MTU management got a 14% raise over the past 2 years. However, the city of La Crosse released data showing that all MTU employees have received at least a 7% raise since 2019. The city also said federal CARES and COVID funding has been and will be used for operating costs. The city added that they do not plan to engage in public negotiations. Both the city and the union tell us they hope to come to a conclusion soon. Monroe County officials have an opportunity to voice their concerns with the state lawmakers. Monroe County board members and the Wisconsin Counties Association hosted its first ever legislative exchange. 96th District Assemblyman Lauren Oldenburg and State Senator Patrick Teston were among those listening to issues related to fiscal and regulatory policy. With the next state budget debate coming in a few weeks, county officials say now is the time to make sure state lawmakers understand challenges local governments face every day.
The state of Wisconsin has a tendency to pass mandatory services, but they don't always pass the funding along with it. And I think Monroe County residents shouldn't have to pay for that. That's the connection. We need to push that issue that, hey, what you do in Madison does affect Western Wisconsin.
Local leaders discussed topics like funding for nursing homes, child care, and the land conservation staff. Governor Evers delivers his budget address on February 15th. Wisconsin has a projected budget surplus of just over $7 billion. First-year Congressman Derek Van Orden is stepping into a new role. The House Committee on Veterans Affairs announced that he was named chairman of the Subcommittee on Economic Opportunity. That committee oversees education, employment, and training of veterans and other services like veterans housing programs. In a press statement, Van Orden said, quote, supporting veterans' mental health and financial fitness needs to be a priority for America and will be for this committee. Well, a heads up to La Crosse voters who are hoping to vote absentee. You should check your mail. The La Crosse clerk has started to mail absentee ballots for upcoming primary on February 21st to have people who have an absentee ballot request on file. When you get your ballot, be sure to read the instructions and methods to return your completed ballot. If you want to get an absentee ballot by mail, you can submit your request at myvote.wi.gov. The deadline to request a ballot by mail is Thursday, February 16th. In-person voting will begin next Tuesday and close on Friday, February 17th. Remember, you need to have a valid ID. You'll be able to finish your return to absentee ballot during those hours, but remember not to use the drop box. This primary vote will vote on state Supreme Court candidates. The top two state Supreme Court candidates, regardless of their party, will advance to the April election. The city of La Crosse is listening to your feedback. During the city's Planning Commission meeting, members went through feedback from the community survey. Over 2,100 community members answered questions about housing, transportation, and the city's economy. City officials say the survey is useful for changing the capital budget and city policy to reflect the current state of La Crosse.
It's a good reference point to allow elected officials to see what the current issues are and the current strategies in place for our city to grow.
Ackland says they are still in the early stages of the comprehensive plan, and if you missed your chance to give feedback, stay tuned as another survey will be made available soon. Toma Health and Versiti Blood Center of Wisconsin are holding a two-day blood drive. Their first one is today and another one on Wednesday from noon to 5 p.m. at Toma's Recreation Park. To donate blood, a person must be in good health, 17 years old, and weigh at least 110 pounds and also have a photo ID. 16-year-olds can donate blood with parental consent. While the process for whole blood donation usually takes about 1 hour, the blood collection itself only takes about 10 minutes. Well, it's time to celebrate local public transportation. It's a week-long commemoration of Rosa Parks, whose birthday is on February 4th. It declares public transit a civil right. To kick it off, Sustainability Institute is hosting a week-long event where you can register online to ride with elected officials throughout the week. Today is State Senator Brad Pfaff, and he'll be scheduled to ride from this morning from 9:40 to 10:15. County Board member Ralph Geary will be there from 12 to 1 p.m. Both will be departing from Grand River Station. If you want to ride with them or other guest officials during the week, you can find a link on our website to register at news8000.com. That registration is free. Well, still ahead on your morning news, the form of theft many Americans experience that comes from their paychecks. We'll explain and what the latest report says about the state of the global economy. That's all coming up after the break. But for now, we're sending you to break with something to put the good in your morning. With the cold weather making its way into the Coulee region, it might be time to snuggle up with a cup of hot chocolate. That's because today is National Hot Chocolate Day. Hot Chocolate Day is easy to make at home, or you can stop by a coffee shop for one. You can finish it off with traditional toppings such as whipped cream or marshmallows, maybe even dip some graham crackers in it. That sounds like a great time, and in this cold weather, I could use some right now in the studio. Don't go anywhere. More News 8 Now this morning is after this break.
Well, it sure is yet another very cold and bitter cold start here that is across the area. Wind chill advisories in effect until 10 o'clock this morning for all across the Coulee region for 20 to 35 below wind chill factors this morning. Let's get a check on those current wind chills. As a matter of fact, and you can see it feels like it's 26 below in La Crosse, 16 below the feel-like temperature now in Eau Claire. Your zone forecast today, as far as our temperatures go, calls for highs to warm up in La Crosse County into the mid-teens this afternoon. It will be about 15, as a matter of fact, in Unalaska. Heading south, we're looking at 13 in Lafarge, 11 today in Westby, 12 in Lynxville. And as we head towards our central zones, we're looking at 14 in Black River Falls, 13 in Sparta, and 13 in Blair here today. The north zone today will look at high temperatures reaching the teens with highs around 10 in Chippewa Falls and 11 in Eau Claire. So for your schoolcast out there, it'll be about -10 for the morning, 7 degrees for the lunch hour, and then by this afternoon, a few clouds, temperatures at around 12 degrees this morning. Meanwhile, make sure to bundle up out there with you and your furry friend, maybe you and Bella going out for a walk this morning. It's going to be cold, mostly clear, and then mostly sunny for the afternoon. Remaining cold, of course, as we head into the evening hours with temperature mainly clear and overall quiet weather conditions. I'll be back with a check on that weather forecast in just a bit.
You may have a burglar alarm to protect your home or hide your wallet from pickpockets in a crowd, but what you may not realize is you could be losing money in a different way, from your paycheck. Wage theft costs Americans more than any other type of theft each year. From paying less than the minimum wage to withholding tips, wage theft steals billions of dollars from Americans' paychecks. For those waiting on their money to be returned, experts say to keep waiting and be patient.
I would just say hang in there. I mean, our job is to do as quickly as we can to recoup the wages and the money that you're owed, and we're going to continue to fight for you every single day. You know, I'll apologize for the longevity of a case.
Based on the amount of money owed, if wage theft were treated the same way as other forms of theft, tens of thousands of the cases could have been charged as felonies, which might have led to hefty fines or even prison time. The International Monetary Fund's latest report calls for a slight slowdown in the global growth this year. However, the rate of decline forecast isn't as steep as some economists previously forecasted. John Lornick reports.
The International Monetary Fund says global growth will drop from 3.4% last year to 2.9% in 2023.
This is the first time in quite a while that we've had sort of good news in that sense.
Although the rate is expected to fall 0.5%, it's still higher than the 2.7% that was forecast in October. The IMF says China and India will provide the biggest boost for worldwide growth, while the U.S.'s rate of development is forecast to be 1.4%.
This is not recession territory. I mean, actually, the labor market is doing very, very strongly right now.
And while we're on the subject of the U.S. economy,
Congress has gone for decades, both parties, on a spending spree. If the economy is as strong as President Biden claims, then now's the time to try to tighten the belt.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is scheduled to meet with President Joe Biden on Wednesday to address the U.S. reaching its $31.4 trillion debt limit. This comes after 24 Senate Republicans sent a letter to Biden saying they won't back a debt ceiling increase without at least equal spending reductions imposed. The president's message for McCarthy and the GOP?
Show me your budget, I'll show you mine.
John Lawrence, News 8 Now.
On Sunday, Speaker McCarthy told CBS that as far as cuts to Medicare and Social Security, he quoted, take those off the table.
Well, it sure is another bitter cold start outside this morning. Let me show you those current temperatures that we're working with, and it's 16 below right now in Eau Claire. 15 below in Winona and 11 below zero is our current temperature in La Crosse. And those are just our actual temperatures, but when you factor in the wind chills, it's going to feel like 20 to 35 below zero this morning, which is why we have these wind chill advisories in effect all across the Coulee region until 10 o'clock this morning. Here's where we stand right now, and you can see anywhere between around 10 to just over 20 below zero is currently where we stand. As we head to that 10 o'clock hour when that wind chill advisory is allowed to expire, you can still see we're well below zero in many spots for those feel-like temperatures. By 3 o'clock this afternoon, there will be quite a few locations that will be above that 0 degree mark, but keep in mind it's still going to feel bitterly cold outside. By around 9 p.m. this evening, temperatures, feel-like temperatures that is, will be dropping back below zero yet again, and the same can be said heading into overnight tonight and into early tomorrow morning, still looking at temperatures, feel-like temperatures below zero in many spots. But then our wind chills, though, are expected to warm up to above zero as we head into the afternoon once we get that southwest wind motion to help bring us some warmer air masses in place. Mostly sunny by noon today with a temperature of 7. We warm up to 12 degrees and still sunny by 4 o'clock. 6 degrees will be the temperature by 8 o'clock this evening under those clear weather conditions. And our highs today are expected to rise only into the teens all across the Coulee region today, with a high of only 15 in La Crosse and a high of about 11 degrees in Eau Claire this afternoon. Only a few clouds here today, as you can see, as we take you into the morning. Just some clouds here and there to the north. Some begin to fill in across the central areas by around 5 p.m. And then the majority of the clouds will come as we head to the overnight hours tonight. And we may even hold on to the cloud cover here a little bit longer as we head into early tomorrow morning, right around the 5 o'clock hour. As we head to around the 6 p.m. hour tomorrow afternoon, there could be a lot of the majority of the clouds here kind of focused central and north. Partly cloudy skies is what we'll call it, though, overall for the day tomorrow. Our weather continues to remain quiet as long as high pressure is in control of our weather pattern here for a while. That's going to keep the majority of the active weather, the precipitation of rain and snow that you can see here, to still remain to our south. High is going to act like a blocking mechanism, but here comes our next system. This is a cold front that's going to bring in some much colder air for us to work with as we head into Friday, just in time to end the work week. But I'm happy to tell you that beyond that 6-day temperature outlook is showing that we will be looking at some much more milder conditions on the way. In fact, you'll see that here on the 8-day forecast. So after we get through this next brief cool down on Friday, we're going to be warming up into the upper 20s on Saturday, followed by the mid 30s come Sunday, and also into early next week on Monday and Tuesday. Speaking of Monday, that could be our next best chance of rain for us to work with, so we'll keep our eyes on that potential here as well. All right, but stay tuned, though. We're back with much more news and weather. That's still to come on News 8 Now this morning. But for now, we are sending you a break with a look at what happened on this day in history from this last day of January.
Welcome to the Blitz. When it comes to high school hoops in the MVC, there's one squad that's really separated itself from the rest of the pack so far this season, and that's the Aquinas girls basketball team. It's been this way for a while now. The last time the Blue Golds lost the conference game, the Cubs were still looking for their first World Series in over 100 years. I was still waiting tables in Beverly Hills, California, and Donald Trump wasn't even president yet. It's been more than 7 years, and the Blue Golds are still going strong in 2023. The girls back at it Monday as they gear up for another tough test tonight against West Salem. As for the Blue Golds, they're 17-1 so far this season, a perfect 8-0 in conference play. Head coach Dave Donarski says playing in such a tough conference makes it nearly impossible for his girls to have an off night. Aquinas is getting every team's best on a nightly basis, and for the Blue Golds, that level of competition doesn't just play a big part in their success and consistency on the court, it surely helps with their confidence as well.
It's essential, and I think that's the one. I think we can bring some respect to the west side of the state, and because there's really good basketball being played out here, and nobody knows this better than our conference teams, and I feel like we get everybody's best shot. We're going to be well tested as we get in there. Now it's just staying healthy and getting a little better each day.
It really just pushes us, and we have to prepare for every game and go into every game really ready to play. Our goal this year is to get a gold ball and win state, so I think we're really capable of that, and if we keep working hard in practice, we'll get there.
One of the shining stars for the Blue Gold so far this season is freshman Sammy Davis, and she's doing it on both sides of the ball. Davis has scored 110 points over the last 4 games. Coach Denarski tells me the freshman is all about effort, and that starts on the practice floor.
She's just touching the surface of what she's capable of, so yeah, incredibly excited for 3 more years of kind of developing the remainder of her game. But boy, she's a handful right now, and she's been a huge part of what we're doing to succeed. From a competitiveness, from an athleticism, from a just, her mentality is everything that we would want and more.
Davis and the Blue Golds have been an absolute force in the MVC. They'll step out of conference tonight, which should be an incredible matchup as Aquinas takes on West Salem. On the boys' side last night, big clash at Melrose Mindoro. The Mustangs at home taking on Bangor. The Cardinals atop the Scenic Bluffs Conference, but early on, Melman putting up a fight. Aaron Hansen drains the 3. Mustangs go up a pair, but Bangor battling back. Tanner Jones in the corner, the senior, putting in 3 of his game-high 24. Cardinals up 4. Then it's Jones finding Dustin McDonald in the corner, baseline drive off the window for 2. Bangor goes up 10. And how about this connection? McDonald, bullet pass to Chase Horseman for the score, and he wasn't done. Horseman again driving to the cup for 2 more. Cardinals take an 18-point lead, and the connection on offense is fun to watch. Jones again to McDonald. Pretty finish at the rim. Cardinals stay red hot. They get the win, 79-37. Across the border, La Crescent Hoka hosting Rochester Lords. Eagles off to a fast start. David Scully showing off the post moves, gets it to fall to extend the lead, but the Lancers weren't going away without a fight. Carter Todd in transition, finding Owen Benson. A little pump fake here, then he gets it to go. Then later on, Todd, great pass to Mason Einerwald, cutting to the basket. Lancers right back in this one. A few possessions later, Einerwald finding Noah Berkey-Weezer. He's going to lay it up. Nice layup there. Lancers trailed at halftime, but would come back and get the win, 58-48. Let's go to the ice. La Crescent Hoka hosting Black River Falls. That's Ethan Meyer with room to skate, but Christopher Muir in goal makes a nice save. Later on, check out the stretch here from Muir. Just barely getting over in time to stop the goal, looking like a brick wall back there. But the Lancers would get their chance. Wyatt Farrell dumping it back to John Blaha. The senior rips it down the middle of the ice, finding the net. That extends the Lancers' lead. They would go on to win it 5-1. That's going to do it for the Blitz. We'll see you tonight.
Breaking overnight, climate scientists are using artificial intelligence to predict the future of global warming. Scientists say over the next 3 decades, the planet could cross critical global warming thresholds sooner than previous models have predicted. That's including significant global efforts to bring down planet warming pollution. Data shows average global temperature has risen around 1.1 to 1.2 degrees since industrialization. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken calls for peace between Palestinians and Israelis as the region faces waves of deadly violence. The Palestinian Health Ministry says that in January, at least 35 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli military, making this the deadliest month in the West Bank since 2015. Last week, 7 people were killed near a Jerusalem synagogue. The U.S. Secretary of State urged both sides to remain calm. Recent cold conditions could have a negative effect on your lung health. Health experts say our bodies are pretty good at regulating temperatures, but cold air can still be harsh on our lungs. Cold air is usually dry and can cause irritation. This is what causes a tightening sensation in our chest or creates a shortness of breath, making us uncomfortable. People with respiratory diseases like COPD or asthma can feel especially uncomfortable. Doctors recommend that patients with these conditions take extra precaution.
The best thing that they can do in order to protect themselves is to be prepared, whether that's having an extra supply of your inhaler regimen for a few days in case of an emergency, or having an emergency generator for their medical equipment.
Doctors say breathing through your nose and out through your mouth can help prevent airway irritation. A Michigan couple welcomed their twin boys on November 1st. It was a happy day but it was also a close call. At 23 weeks, UW Health doctors diagnosed the twins with a blood condition called TAPS. It caused one baby to become anemic and forcing the other baby's heart to overwork as it was receiving too much blood. To fix the imbalance, doctors performed a laser surgery using a small camera. The twins' condition improved almost immediately, and they were born over 10 weeks later.
They spent about 3 weeks in the NICU, and they came home and have been healthy since. No issues. They're growing, they're eating, they're sleeping on their own terms.
The special procedure was performed at UW Health Fetal Diagnosis and Treatment Center. The University of Minnesota joined Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison in calling for a delay to a controversial hospital merger, which is supposed to wrap up by the end of March. At a Minnesota House hearing, the CEOs of Fairview and Sanford defended the merger. Lawmakers also heard from several critics.
A merger could mean the U of M's medical facilities, funded partly by Minnesota taxpayers, would be headquartered in South Dakota, where abortion is illegal and politics a lot more conservative. Sanford and Fairview CEOs tried to ease concerns.
Access to gender-affirming and comprehensive reproductive health care will not change as a result of this merger.
Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison says the March 31st deadline for the merger is too soon, considering its magnitude.
It involved thousands of employees in both entities and involved clearly thousands of patients.
Before the hearing, unions representing farmers, nurses, and hospital workers spoke against the proposal, saying both Fairview and Sanford should be judged by what's happened in other communities.
With all of these examples, patients lost access to critical care and workers were displaced.
U of M medical students fear a merger would devalue their medical degrees.
The U of M ranks top 3 in the nation in primary care. A lot of students come here for that academic excellence. Sanford, on the other hand, is unranked.
In 2013, then Attorney General Lori Swanson blocked a similar merger between Fairview and Sanford.
Attorney General Keith Ellison could block the merger just the way it was blocked in 2013, but says he is not ready to do that. Ellison says it's very clear this merger does need to be delayed, though. Amazon delivery trucks have become very common in the urban scenery, and now the company is taking a step to make them more environmentally friendly. They are helping local companies that deliver Amazon goods acquire brand new electric vans. In Madison, Picture Perfect Distribution is just one local company, and with Amazon's help, they're leasing 16 electric vans. Besides being energy efficient, the new vans have some safety features for their drivers.
When they're out there, it's a lot more efficient to be able to function with this van versus one of the regular vans, because a lot of it's automated for you and it's in your dash, so you're not looking at a small screen on your phone to see where you're going, and it keeps your eyes more on the road, and it makes a safer drive experience for the driver, and it does help the community too with the safety features that it has.
Amazon will be setting up 100,000 electric vans across the country. A warmer than normal January has sidelined many winter activities, including the ice castles in Lake Geneva. Now, crews are working hard to build the glowing castles for the end of this week. Colton Molesky drove down to check in on the lakeside ice architecture.
A tremendous rise and fall of the castle, literally.
The ice castles in Lake Geneva were scheduled to open on the final weekend of January, now racing to adjust, opening on the first Saturday in February.
Yeah, it's a bummer when it melts out and we see all of our progress go away, but it always motivates us every year we look at it as a challenge.
Warm weather melted down most of the work building manager Alberto Huerta and his team accomplished. He says it's all part of the game when forced to rely on the weather to play nice.
We shot up really quick. We were 20 feet tall in 5 days. So usually we melt out to stakes and grass. This year was a little different. We had ice, but just different challenges with thinner bases and stuff like that we had to compete with this year.
The crew has not let adversity wear down their collective spirit.
just seeing like this castle just like coming to life, you know, it's just having that determination, especially the morale gets kind of low at points when you see like the ice castle get so big and then it drops down, and it's just that drive to like, we're gonna get this thing done.
Assistant manager Colleen Anderson says the team is working at a historic pace.
This year it's projected to be like, I think 15 or 16 days, which will be the fastest in the company history of building like any ice castle this year.
Staff say everyone who had tickets for last weekend will get their money back, and the ice castles are expected to stay up now through the end of February, or as long as this weather allows.
Well, it sure is a bitter cold start here once again across much of the area. Let's get to those current conditions right now in La Crosse, and you can see we're looking at current temperatures at 11 below zero, but the feel-like temperature is actually up here around minus 26 degrees when you factor in the winds here out of the southerly direction at 7 miles an hour. Now, as we take you through the rest of your day today, we'll be looking at mostly sunny skies. Our high temperatures today mainly into the teens. We're going to get out of the negative readings as we get past 10 o'clock, and then you can see by noon we're up to around 7 degrees, followed by 12 at 2 o'clock, and then 12 once again by 4, with lots of sunshine at least to work with a little bit of wind here at around the west to southwesterly direction, around 5 to 10 miles an hour. But stay tuned though, we're going to talk more about these wind chills here coming up. After all, that wind chill advisory is still in effect, and also your full weather forecast coming up in just a bit. We'll also take a look at that buzz report with Dua as well. We'll be right back. Well, this morning it is yet another bitter cold start here to the day as we take a live look from City Cam 8 in downtown La Crosse. And speaking of La Crosse, it's currently at 11 below zero. Meanwhile, to the west of Winona, you're at 15 below zero. And in Eau Claire, it gets even colder. You're currently at 16 below at the moment. And when you factor in the wind chills, it makes it feel like it's anywhere between 20 to 35 below zero. That could become possible in many spots that you see highlighted. In fact, this is for everybody in the Coulee region until 10 o'clock this morning. As we take a look at those current wind chills, you can see that we are significantly below zero here in many spots, anywhere between around that 15 to just over 20 below mark. And you can see that will continue through at least the 10 o'clock hour. That's when that wind chill advisory will then be allowed to expire. As we take you into the 3 o'clock hour today, this afternoon, we'll be looking at many spots here in the Coulee region warming up to above zero feel-like temperatures here, but then they're going to drop once again for the wind chills, dropping below zero as we take you into early tonight around 9 p.m. Now, fast forwarding into tomorrow morning, we're going to be waking up to wind chills below zero in some spots, but a few locations here to the east like Black River Falls and Sparta may actually be above that zero mark. And then I do expect everybody across the area to be above zero for feel-like temperatures by tomorrow afternoon and also into tomorrow evening. Here's what we can expect here at 7 o'clock. Mostly clear, temperatures at around 10 below, 7 mostly sunny by noon today, and then we're at 12 by 4 o'clock with lots of sunshine. And then by this evening, we're at 6 degrees under those clear weather conditions. Check out these high temperatures today. Very cold here this afternoon into the mid-teens, significantly below average from where we stand for this time of the year. But overall, our skies this morning will continue to remain mostly clear, maybe a few clouds here to the north. As we fast forward this into around the 5 o'clock hour, you can see a few clouds develop here in some spots, but overall a pretty mostly sunny day before we start to see more clouds move in as we head into tonight and also through the overnight hours. In fact, we may even keep these clouds here in the forecast for some locations as we head into early tomorrow morning. And overall, tomorrow does look like a pretty partly cloudy day with temperatures in the teens and also into the 20s. High pressure is in control here across the Midwestern United States. That is helping to keep everything dry and quiet, and also the snowy weather here down to the south as well. But as we take you into early Thursday, this is our next cold front that we're watching, and this is going to pack a lot of cold air once again behind it, just in time to end the work week here on Friday. We'll get to that 8-day forecast here in a second, but I do want to show you that there is light at the end of the tunnel. We are expecting a much more milder pattern to take shape here in the 6 to 10-day temperature outlook, and as a matter of fact, you'll see that here on the 8-day forecast. So after we get through another brief cold day on Friday, thanks to that cold front moving in, we are expecting temperatures temperatures to warm up into the upper 20s on Saturday, followed by the mid-30s Sunday, and also into early next week as well. There's also a slight chance of showers that we're watching here in the forecast for Monday, so that's something to keep an eye on in the long range.
In our morning buzz report, if you can't get enough of James Cameron, well, you're in luck. Mark your calendars for February 10th, because that's when Titanic will be sailing back into theaters for its 25th anniversary. Avatar: The Way of Water will still be in theaters when Titanic sets sail again, so if you haven't seen it already, that's your opportunity to catch both. A new video game is allowing players to team up with Marvel heroes. Marvel's Midnight Suns allows players to use the new hero Hunter, who is customizable throughout the game. Storylines within the game follow the supernatural side of the Marvel Universe, which includes characters such as Ghost Rider, Vampire Slayer, and Blade. Other famous heroes such as Captain America and Iron Man also make appearances in the game. Well, that's all we have for your morning buzz report, but let's head to our Look Who's 8.
All right, we got 2 birthdays to celebrate today, Due. Our first one is to Caleb, and Caleb loves playing Minecraft and soccer.
Happy birthday, Caleb. Well, happy 88th birthday to Lillian. Lillian loves to put together puzzles and birdwatch.
Well, if you know a special someone turning 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80, or 88 years old soon, we'd love to feature them.
Just upload their photo to our website, news8000.com. Look for the Submit Pictures button under the Home tab on the... Time for your morning news now. Members of the La Crosse branch of MTU are demanding higher wages. At the informational picket, local union president Todd Stracher says federal COVID relief transportation funding didn't make it to the MTU's frontline workers. He says MTU workers were given less than a 3% raise, while management was given a 14% increase over the last 2 years. They are picketing for a 4.5% wage increase.
There is money out there for real frontline workers. We are in the front line every day. We are not on an island. We're not in our home. We are in the front line.
Stracer says ultimately union workers are picketing for the people who use public transportation. La Crosse Mayor Mitch Reynolds told News 8 Now that the MTU's management was restructured, and that restructure led to changes in the management. They are working to solve this soon, but Mitch Reynolds did say that there would be no public negotiations. A heads up to La Crosse voters who are hoping to vote absentee. You should check your mail. The La Crosse clerk has started to mail absentee ballots for the upcoming primary on February 21st for those with an absentee ballot request on file. When you get your ballot, be sure to read the instructions and methods to return your completed ballot. To receive an absentee ballot by mail, you can submit your request at myvote.wi.gov. The deadline to request a ballot by mail is Thursday, February 16th. In-person absentee voting will begin next Tuesday and close on Friday, February 17th. Remember, you need a valid photo ID. You'll be able to return your finished absentee ballot during those hours. Remember not to use the drop box. This primary vote will vote on state Supreme Court candidates. The top 2 state Supreme Court candidates, regardless of what party they belong to, will advance to the April election. The City of La Crosse is listening to your feedback. During the City Plan Commission meeting, members went through feedback from the community survey. Over 2,100 community members answered questions about housing, transportation, and the city's economy. City officials say the survey is useful for changing the capital budget and the city policy to reflect the current state of La Crosse.
It's a good reference point to allow elected officials to see what the current issues are and the current strategies in place for our city to grow.
Ackland says they are still in the early stages of the comprehensive plan, and if you missed your chance to give feedback, another survey will be made available soon. Toma Health and Versiti Blood Center of Wisconsin are holding a 2-day blood drive. Their first one is today and another on Wednesday from noon to 5 p.m. at Toma's Recreation Park. To donate blood, a person must be in good health, 17 years old, weigh at least 110 pounds, and have a valid photo ID. 16-year-olds may also donate with parental consent. While the process for the whole blood donation usually takes about 1 hour, the blood collection itself is usually about 10 minutes. It's time to celebrate local public transportation. It's a week-long commemoration of Rosa Parks, whose birthday is on February 4th, and it also declares public transit a civil right. To kick it off, Sustainability Institute is hosting a week-long event where you can register online to ride with elected officials throughout the week. Today, State Senator Brad Pfaff is scheduled to ride this morning from 9:40 to 10:15 a.m. County Board Ralph Geary will ride from 12 to 1 p.m. Both are departing from the Grand River Station. If you want to ride with them or guest officials during the week, you can find a link on our website to register at news8000.com, and that registration is free.
And as you head out the door this morning, keep in mind, we still have those wind chill advisories in effect for everybody until 10 o'clock this morning. That's because feel-like temperatures could be anywhere between 20 to 35 below zero, so bundle up out there. Here's a check on the rest of your day today. Lots of sunshine, temperatures into the single digits and teens, making it also pretty chilly when you factor in the wind speeds around 5 to 10 miles an hour. That's really all it takes. Here's a check on your 8-day forecast. We're going to be warming up here a bit tomorrow, 28, 24 on Thursday, and then we drop down to 10 Friday from another cold front before we warm up into the 30s Sunday through Tuesday of next week. And there's also a bit of chance of rain here on Monday too that we'll be watching.
You know, that 30-degree will feel like summertime.
It will feel like a heat wave here compared to what's
honestly
compared to this. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with that, little bit of sun. It'll be really nice.
Definitely.
I was just mentioning that city cam looks so beautiful, though. You know it's really bitter cold outside, but looking at that city cam makes me want to go, oh, it looks really nice out.
And as we get later into the year, we're going to have the sunrise again on the show, so we're going to be able to show that to you live as well.
It'll really be a good morning.
Big screen. Yeah.
Thank you for watching News 8 Now. Don't forget to keep up with news of the day on news8000.com, and we'll have the latest updates on today's top stories on News 8 Now at noon. Have a great day. Look at it.
Nice.